While the world imagines that giant octopuses weighing up to 66 pounds are captured with modern nets or harpoons, Japanese fishermen still use simple ceramic pots to lure them voluntarily into their traps. In the Seto Archipelago, a region responsible for 40% of Japan's national octopus production, this ancient technique generates over 2 billion yen annually using nothing but clay, patience, and ancestral knowledge passed down for more than 800 years. These aren't just any fishing vessels. They're floating museums of maritime tradition. Each morning, weathered hands that have known salt water for decades carefully lower handcrafted pottery into the depths, creating underwater cities that giant octopuses simply cannot resist. What happens next challenges everything we think we know about modern fishing. While industrial fleets deploy massive nets and advanced sonar, these traditional fishermen rely on the octopus's own instincts to do the work for them. The numbers are staggering. A single ceramic pot, crafted by local artisans and costing just 300 yen to produce, can capture octopuses worth 8,000 yen per kilogram in Tokyo's premium markets. Multiply that by the 150,000 pots deployed annually across Akashi Bay alone, and you begin to understand why this seemingly simple method has survived 8 centuries of technological advancement. Join us as we dive into the hidden world of takotsubo fishing, where ancient wisdom meets modern markets, and where the key to catching some of the ocean's most intelligent creatures lies not in outsmarting them, but in understanding their deepest desires for the perfect home. The story of takotsubo fishing begins in Japan's Heian period, around 1200 AD, when coastal communities discovered that octopuses naturally sought shelter in discarded pottery that had washed into the sea. What started as an accidental observation evolved into one of the world's most sophisticated sustainable fishing methods, perfectly adapted to the territorial nature of the North Pacific giant octopus. This industry exists because octopuses are inherently different from other marine creatures. While fish travel in schools and can be caught en masse, octopuses are solitary, intelligent, and fiercely territorial. They don't just seek food, they seek homes. A mature octopus will claim a small cave or crevice as its personal fortress and defend it with remarkable determination. Japanese fishermen recognized this behavior centuries ago and learned to weaponize the octopus's own home-seeking instincts against it. The economic importance cannot be overstated. Japan consumes over 60,000 tons of octopus annually, making it the world's largest octopus market. The tender, sweet meat from traditionally caught octopus commands premium prices because the stress-free capture method preserves the texture that makes Japanese taco dishes legendary. Unlike industrial fishing that often damages the meat through nets and pressure, pottery-caught octopus arrives at market in pristine condition. Each year, the Seto Inland Sea produces approximately 1,200 tons of octopus through traditional methods, supporting an intricate ecosystem of ceramic artisans, fishing families, and seafood merchants. This isn't just fishing. It's a carefully choreographed dance between human craftsmanship and marine biology that has sustained rural communities for nearly a millennium. The scale of production reveals the method's efficiency. A single, experienced fisherman can manage up to 200 pots across multiple sites, checking them every 3 to 7 days depending on seasonal conditions. The best fishing grounds, closely guarded family secrets, can yield catch rates of 60–70%, meaning that more than half of all deployed pots will contain an octopus when retrieved. The journey begins not at sea, but in the workshops of master ceramists whose craft has remained virtually unchanged for centuries. Each takotsubo pot must meet precise specifications that balance weight, buoyancy, and appeal to the octopus's shelter-seeking instincts. The clay, sourced from specific regions known for their mineral content, is shaped into a distinctive form, narrow at the opening, widening toward the base, with rough interior surfaces that mimic the texture of natural rock caves. Master potter Hiroshi Yamamoto, whose family has crafted these vessels for 6 generations, explains that the pot's dimensions are critical. too large, and multiple octopuses might compete for the space, leading to damaged specimens. Too small, and mature octopuses will reject them entirely. The ideal takotsubo measures 25 centimeters in diameter at its widest point, with walls thick enough to withstand water pressure at depths up to 30 meters, yet thin enough to prevent the pot from becoming too heavy for traditional wooden fishing boats. The firing process requires precise temperature control. At 200 degrees Celsius, the clay transforms into a ceramic that's both durable and porous enough to develop the algae growth that makes the pots appear natural to octopuses. This firing takes 18 hours, during which experienced ceramists monitor the kiln's behavior through subtle changes in flame color and sound. A single batch gone wrong can destroy weeks of work and hundreds of pots. Quality testing follows strict protocols. Each pot is weighed to ensure it falls within the 800 to 200 gram range optimal for deployment. They're tested for cracks by tapping with bamboo mallets. Experienced artisans can detect hairline fractures by sound alone. The pots are then aged for 30 days in outdoor yards, where natural weathering begins the process that will eventually make them irresistible to octopuses. Regional variations exist based on local octopus behavior patterns. In the deeper waters around Awaji Island, pots are crafted with slightly thicker walls and weighted bases to reach optimal depths of 25-35 meters. Coastal areas utilize lighter variants designed for the 15 to 20 meter depths, where younger octopuses typically hunt. These subtle differences, accumulated over generations of observation, represent a level of ecological knowledge that modern marine biology is only beginning to appreciate. The preparation doesn't end with firing. Before deployment, each pot receives a coating of natural materials designed to accelerate the growth of marine organisms that will make it appear like a natural seafloor feature. Crushed oyster shells, seaweed extracts, and even small amounts of fish meal create an environment that promotes the bacterial and algae growth essential to the deception. Once the ceramic traps reach the fishing grounds, the real artistry begins. Captain Kenji Tanaka, whose family has worked these waters for 4 generations, navigates not by GPS, but by reading subtle changes in watercolor, current patterns, and the behavior of seabirds that indicate optimal octopus habitat. His weathered hands know every underwater ridge and valley across 50 square kilometers of seafloor. The deployment follows patterns refined over centuries. Pots are placed in clusters of 8 to 12 units, spaced precisely 15 meters apart, close enough to create a neighborhood effect that attracts multiple octopuses, but far enough to prevent territorial conflicts. Each cluster is positioned along the edges of underwater rock formations, where currents create the mix of nutrients and shelter that octopuses prefer for hunting. Advanced fishermen create what they call ceramic cities, carefully planned underwater communities that can house up to 200 octopuses simultaneously. These installations follow the natural topography of the seafloor, with pots positioned at different depths to attract octopuses of varying sizes and ages. Shallow pots at 10 to 15 meters target younger specimens, while deeper placements at 25 to 30 meters appeal to the massive breeding females that command the highest market prices. The waiting period requires patience that modern fishing has largely abandoned. For 3 to 7 days, the pots remain untouched as octopuses gradually discover and evaluate them. Marine biologists have observed that octopuses spend up to 24 hours inspecting a potential home, using their sensitive arms to explore every surface before making the commitment to move in. Once settled, they begin the territorial behaviors that make traditional capture possible. Technology plays a subtle but crucial role in modern takotsubo fishing. While the basic method remains unchanged, fishermen now use depth sounders to map seafloor topology and GPS units to mark productive clusters. Water temperature sensors help predict octopus behavior. Optimal catching occurs when water temperatures range between 18-24 degrees Celsius, conditions that encourage octopuses to actively seek new territories. Quality control during the deployment phase determines success rates. Experienced crew members inspect each pot before deployment, checking for damage that occurred during transport and ensuring that the ropes and buoys are properly secured. A single failed retrieval can mean the loss of both pot and octopus, representing not just immediate financial loss, but also the disruption of carefully planned seafloor arrangements. The monitoring phase reveals the intelligence of both octopus and fishermen. Skilled practitioners can predict which pots contain octopuses by observing subtle changes in the behavior of surface buoys. Octopuses actively rearranging their new homes create slight movements that experienced eyes can detect. Some fishermen claim they can estimate the size of captured octopuses by the degree of disturbance visible at the surface. The retrieval process demands perfect timing and technique. Octopuses captured too early may not have fully committed to their ceramic homes, while waiting too long risks losing specimens to natural predators or their own wandering instincts. Master fishermen develop an intuitive sense for optimal retrieval timing, factoring in tidal patterns, water temperature, and even lunar cycles that influence octopus behavior. The hauling technique itself is an art form. Unlike industrial fishing that relies on mechanical winches, traditional takotsubo fishing requires careful hand-pulling that prevents damage to both octopus and pottery. The ceramic pots, now weighing 15 to 35 kilograms with their occupants, must be lifted smoothly to avoid shocking the octopuses into releasing their grip. Experienced fishermen can predict the size of their catch by the weight and resistance felt through the rope. What emerges from the depths often surprises even veteran practitioners. Giant North Pacific octopuses, some with arm spans exceeding 2 meters, emerge still clinging fiercely to their adopted homes. Their commitment to the territory they've claimed is so strong that many specimens refuse to abandon their pots, even when lifted completely out of the water. This behavioral trait, evolved over millions of years, becomes the cornerstone of sustainable harvest. Processing begins immediately aboard the fishing vessels. Each octopus is carefully examined for size, condition, and species identification. Specimens below 3 kilograms are typically released immediately, allowing them to continue growing and reproducing. This natural size selection contributes to the method's sustainability. Unlike nets that capture everything in their path, pottery fishing naturally selects for mature, market-ready specimens. The grading system reflects the premium nature of pottery-caught octopus. Grade A specimens, weighing 8 to 15 kilograms with undamaged arms and bright coloration, command prices of 6,000, 8,000 yen per kilogram at Tokyo's Tsukiji market. Grade B octopuses, slightly smaller or showing minor handling marks, sell for 4,000 to 5,000 yen per kilogram. Even Grade C specimens exceed the prices paid for industrially caught octopus, reflecting the superior texture and flavor preserved by stress-free capture methods. Distribution channels have evolved to maximize the value of this premium product. The finest specimens are reserved for high-end restaurants specializing in traditional teiko preparations, where master chefs pay premium prices for octopus that maintains its natural texture and flavor. Secondary markets include specialty seafood retailers, serving affluent consumers who recognize the difference in quality. Seasonal variations create distinct product categories. Spring caught octopuses, capturing females preparing for reproduction, are prized for their size and tender meat. Summer specimens, typically smaller but more active, appeal to restaurants serving traditional takoyaki street food. Autumn harvests yield octopuses that have fed heavily throughout the summer, resulting in larger sizes but occasionally tougher texture that requires different culinary approaches. The takotsubo fishing industry employs over 3,000 families directly within the Seto Inland Sea region alone, creating an economic ecosystem that extends far beyond the fishing boats themselves. Each fishing operation supports an average of 12 additional jobs, from ceramic artisans crafting the pots to merchants transporting the catch to urban markets. This multiplier effect generates approximately 180 million yen annually in secondary economic activity for every 100 fishing families. Rural communities that might otherwise face depopulation have found economic lifelines in traditional octopus fishing. Akashi City, once threatened by the decline of heavy industry, now markets itself as the taco capital of Japan, attracting food tourists and culinary students eager to experience authentic traditional fishing methods. Local restaurants specializing in pottery-caught octopus generate an additional 400 million yen annually in tourism revenue. The supply chain reveals remarkable economic efficiency. A single takotsubo pot, costing 300 yen to produce, can be used for 3 to 5 years with proper maintenance, generating potential revenues of 50,000, 80,000 yen over its useful life. This 200.1 return on investment explains why traditional fishing families can compete economically with industrial operations despite much lower volume production. Export markets have discovered the premium quality of traditionally caught Japanese octopus. Hong Kong's luxury restaurant sector imports approximately 200 tons annually, paying prices 40% higher than for industrially caught specimens. High-end sushi restaurants in Los Angeles and New York specifically request pottery-caught octopus, recognizing that the stress-free capture method preserves the texture essential for premium sashimi preparation. Comparison with industrial fishing reveals striking contrasts. While a single industrial vessel might harvest 50 tons of octopus in a week-long expedition, the catch quality varies dramatically, with significant portions suitable only for processed food products. Traditional fishing produces smaller volumes but achieves 85–90% premium grade classification, resulting in comparable or superior revenue per unit of effort. The industry faces demographic challenges that threaten its long-term viability. The average age of takotsubo fishermen now exceeds 55 years, with fewer young people entering the profession despite its economic potential. Training programs initiated by regional governments aim to transfer traditional knowledge before it's lost. But recruitment remains challenging as young people gravitate toward urban opportunities. Innovation within tradition offers hope for sustainability. Some fishing cooperatives have introduced GPS tracking systems to monitor pot locations more efficiently, while maintaining traditional deployment and retrieval methods. These hybrid approaches increase operational efficiency while preserving the essential elements that make the method both sustainable and culturally significant. The sustainability of takotsubo fishing presents a fascinating paradox in modern marine resource management. While industrial fishing methods face increasing criticism for overharvesting and ecosystem disruption, this 800-year-old technique naturally embodies many principles that contemporary conservation efforts strive to achieve. The method's inherent size selectivity, minimal habitat disruption, and zero bycatch rate make it a model for sustainable fishing practices. However, climate change poses unprecedented challenges to traditional knowledge systems. Rising ocean temperatures are forcing octopus populations into deeper, cooler waters beyond the reach of traditional pottery fishing techniques. Some fishing families report declining catch rates as their ancestral fishing grounds become unsuitable for the species they've pursued for generations. This shift raises profound questions about whether traditional methods can adapt to rapidly changing environmental conditions. The ethical debate extends beyond environmental concerns to cultural preservation. These fishing techniques represent irreplaceable repositories of ecological knowledge, accumulated through centuries of careful observation and passed down through family lineages. When fishing families abandon traditional methods or young people leave coastal communities, this knowledge disappears permanently. Should society invest resources in preserving traditional practices that may become economically unviable due to environmental change? Animal welfare considerations add another layer of complexity. While pottery fishing causes minimal stress compared to industrial methods, critics question whether deliberately exploiting the territorial instincts of highly intelligent creatures raises ethical concerns. Octopuses demonstrate problem-solving abilities, memory, and what some researchers interpret as emotional responses. Does their intelligence obligate us to reconsider our relationship with them as resources? The economic pressures facing traditional fishing communities create difficult choices. Industrial fishing methods could potentially provide higher volumes and immediate economic relief for struggling rural communities. However, this short-term thinking might sacrifice both ecological sustainability and cultural heritage for immediate financial gains. The challenge lies in finding ways to preserve traditional methods while ensuring that fishing families can maintain viable livelihoods. As we watch these ceramic cities being lowered into the depths of Japanese waters, we witness more than just fishing. We see a living laboratory of sustainable resource management that has functioned successfully for 8 centuries. The question facing us now is whether we can learn from this ancient wisdom quickly enough to address modern challenges, or whether global environmental changes will force us to abandon techniques that embody the very principles of sustainability we desperately need. What role should traditional knowledge play in addressing contemporary environmental challenges? The answer may determine whether future generations inherit oceans managed by wisdom accumulated over centuries, or resources exploited by technologies that prioritize short-term efficiency over long-term sustainability. The ceramic pots sinking beneath the waves of Seto Inland Sea carry more than hopes for tomorrow's catch. They carry the weight of human choices about our relationship with the ocean itself.